In the quiet suburbs of London lived a 21-year-old boy named Oliver. He was the type of boy people often overlooked, polite, quiet, and always standing in the background. While others in his class shouted their dreams loudly, Oliver kept his to himself. But deep down, Oliver's dream burned as bright as the sun. He wanted to be a speaker, a storyteller, someone who could inspire thousands with his words. Yet there was one problem. Oliver stuttered. Every time he tried to speak in public, his voice would break, his words would stumble, and people would laugh. He hated that sound, the giggles, the whispers, the pity. It crushed him. At school, teachers often avoided calling on him. Friends would talk over him, and slowly, Oliver began to believe what the world told him. Maybe you're just not meant to speak. Oliver stopped raising his hand in class. He stopped trying to join conversations. At family dinners, he would nod, smile, and pretend he had nothing to say, but inside, his heart screamed with words he could never let out. Stories, ideas, thoughts, all trapped inside a cage built by fear. One night, after being laughed at by classmates when he failed to introduce himself properly, Oliver locked himself in his room and whispered, "Why was I given a voice if I can't use it?" He felt cursed, like life had given him a dream, but stolen the ability to achieve it. One rainy afternoon, Oliver wandered into a small second-hand bookstore. He had no plan, he just needed to escape the noise of the world. There, tucked away on a dusty shelf, he found a thin old book. Its title read, "The Voice Within, a Journey of the Greatest Speakers." Curious, he opened it. Inside were stories of famous leaders, storytellers, and thinkers. And to his shock, many of them had once struggled with speech too. Some had stuttered, some had been too shy, some had been told they would never inspire anyone. But they didn't stop. They practiced, they failed, they kept trying until their voices became their power. Oliver read that book cover to cover, tears in his eyes. For the first time, he realized his stutter wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Oliver began small. Every night, he stood in front of his mirror and practiced saying just one line clearly. Sometimes he succeeded, sometimes he broke down, but he didn't give up. Then he recorded himself. At first, he hated listening to his own voice, felt weak, broken. But slowly, with patience, he noticed improvement. Next, he tried speaking to strangers in coffee shops, forcing himself out of the safety of silence. Most people didn't even notice his stutter. That gave him courage. Months passed. Oliver kept training his voice like an athlete trains muscles. He realized speaking wasn't just about words, it was about heart, and his heart had something worth sharing. 1 year later, Oliver signed up for a small local event where young people could share stories on stage. When his turn came, his hands shook, his knees wobbled. The microphone felt heavier than stone. For a moment, he thought about running away. But then he remembered the boy in the mirror, the endless practice, the tears he had shed. So he spoke. Yes, he stuttered. Yes, he stumbled. But this time, he didn't stop. And the audience didn't laugh. They listened. They felt the honesty, the struggle, the bravery in his voice. By the end, people clapped not out of pity, but out of respect. Oliver walked off the stage with tears streaming down his face. For the first time, he believed, "My voice matters." From that day forward, Oliver never hid again. He joined speaking clubs, participated in workshops, and pushed himself every chance he got. Years passed, and his voice grew stronger, not perfect, but powerful. His stutter didn't vanish completely, but it became part of his identity. Instead of being ashamed of it, he used it to connect with others. Soon, people began inviting him to speak, not because he was flawless, but because he was real. His honesty touched hearts in ways polished speakers never could. By the age of 25, Oliver stood on a stage in front of thousands, sharing his story. The boy who once couldn't even say his own name without stuttering was now inspiring crowds to chase their dreams. Maybe you feel like Oliver. Maybe you think your weakness disqualifies you from greatness. But remember this, your weakness can become your strength. The very thing you are ashamed of might be the thing that inspires the world. Oliver didn't overcome his stutter by hiding it. He overcame it by embracing it, by using it, by turning it into his power. And you can too.